Get your cocktails about the game script. A huge victory. We could have these streams and we put our heads together. Get your balls, put them on the table. We are live. We are live. You found it. We're at Last Call Pub Sports Radio. It's Wednesday. It's November 15th. And I'm excited to bring you guys a large card tonight. A couple of smaller slates in hockey. We don't have the NFL, of course, but we are not lack of any plays tonight. It's a big card out there. Again, I had to make some final cuts to try to trim this thing down. Shout out to my guy T out there on the ones and twos. You guys know what he does. He gets it tight and right for us to get these graphics, be able to follow along so that we can kind of keep this thing clean and moving in the right direction. Excited to bring you guys tonight's show. It's a big show. Excited about the NBA. I got a lot of NBA plays tonight. We're going after it tonight, damn it. We deserve it. We've earned it. We play it. We put the time in and day out. It's time for us to get there. We got 40 plus in the chat, guys. Make sure you hit that like button for me. You know the situation. Help me out on YouTube. Help me help you. Help us beat these bookies. It is us against the bookies. And shout out to everybody that's here, ready to rock and roll off the hop. Craig Ford, what's cracking, Craig Ford? How you doing, my guy? Thanks for coming in, ready to rock with us. Jay Smooth 16, Swig Bets, Justin McElvey with his stacks play of the day. He busted through 500 and he ain't looking back. He's got that Orlando Magic money line tonight. Shout out to our guy Justin putting in that hard work. Dana Delp, great to see you, Dana Delp. Ronnie and Bergia, here we go. We got some looks here. You guys know I like to see these looks from you guys in the chat as well and try to read them out as often as I can. Canisius plus 7.5. That's right. It's called Canisius. Canisius. I've heard that thing called so many different things today. It's Canisius, damn it. It's a New York school, and it's plus 7.5. I like the look there, Ronnie. Richmond plus 5.5. Pacific plus 13. Radford plus 5.5. And St. Peter's minus 1.5. And he's fresh off a 6-1 night, including a 3-0 college hoop session. So make sure you write those plays down out of our guy. Appreciate him coming out here, leading off the charge. Him and Justin, of course, with the stack spots. There's our guy, Smoke and Mirrors. What up, Smoke? I appreciate you dropping in. I know tough to get out of work and get into this thing and grind, so I appreciate you jumping in. Fletcher, Barry, JW. There's our guy, Jose Bouquet. Shout out. Justin for that record. Of course, Justin's been killing it, man. K. Graham, what up? Let's fire away, K. Graham. You know we got a big card to go over tonight. Matt Complex, Booker over points. Deshaun G, Jordan Eberle, anytime goal. And Ricardo Roberts, you from Philly? No, I'm not from Philly. I'm born and raised in New York. I lived in Philadelphia for about 10 years. And, when I left to go to Philadelphia, my only criteria was, hey, some of these guys that I moved down there with, since I'll know nobody, have to have a men's league team they play on. And in fact, the company I moved down with had a men's league team. Little did I know, though, that city was a buzz of sports. Real cool setup down there. I went from being solely a hockey fan to jumping into everything out there. And over the 10-year span that I was down there, I got to see some great runs between obviously the Philadelphia Eagles and the Donovan McNabb era. We had some great things going on. We ended up picking up Peter Forsberg. That's what kind of made my eyes open going, wow, this city likes to bring on winners. And although he had that foot injury that he was going through at the time, it was certainly a lot of fun to see big names come to the city. Previous to that, Buffalo was the spot and nobody wanted to come to Buffalo. So that was exciting. The NBA, of course, the AI days, man, the AI, we out there talking about them guns and everything else that he was doing. But certainly enjoyed the time with the Philadelphia experience. So anyhow, we're going to get rolling into this thing here. Serious Business says, let's get it. Serious Business. Real Deal Prime says, born and raised. Justin there, he says, appreciates the efforts and the recognition from art guy. Jose Bouquet. There's Flea Mathis. Sup, Jose? Or what's up, Flea Mathis? Jose Sierras I'm looking at as well. Let's get after it here, you guys. We have a big night. We got a lot of cash to get to our pockets here. You guys know the situation. 70 plus in here. We'll let everybody kind of filter in and who know the situation with the show. We will start with a recap. I got a lot of windows open, so I got to try to find the right spots here. Look, it was a 5-7 night on the card itself. Official plays, not the best night for us in college basketball. Kansas minus 6.5. You know what's funny about that game is it was a 5.5 line when I took it. It closed. They ended up winning by 5, but that live line at one point was plus 295. So if you follow along and captured those spots, then you might have made some money there. But it was a loss on that spot. Illinois, gets beat down early by Marquette, comes all the way back just to get beat down again and lose by, I think it was a double-digit spot out of that Illinois spot. We did catch a win with the Charlotte Hornets. We took an L on the Nets under. I think it went over that spot by about 10. The Lakers and the Mavericks, right? The Lakers come out there and get the job done, but the Mavericks, kind of a letdown spot. I was expecting with no travel, the Mavericks would be in a spot there with New Orleans, who was kind of banged up and depleted, to find a way to get it done, but they did not. But we took a plus money shot at it, so it is what it is. We did win with those Calgary Flames, beat up on Montreal. It was a tight game, but they certainly got the job done. They dictated pace from start to finish. Boston regulation was truly never in doubt at plus 105. We lost on Tampa. We lost on our parlay with Dallas, Florida, and Vegas, but we packaged in those favorites and we took a shot. If it wasn't for Vegas getting beat up, we might have been alive in that thing. But, Vegas got shut out by Washington, so that's an L for us. We did win with the Anaheim Ducks. We took a shot with the plus 160 money. We got it done. Shout out to the Toledo Rockets. That is a rivalry. It's funny. I saw a little meme this morning that said the campus has a missile that's on the campus that's pointed directly at center field. If you look at the GPS coordinates of the team there and their biggest in-state rival, which I thought was kind of different and unique, but that just goes to show they wanted that game. They came back with literally about a minute to go. They put that touchdown in to get our team total over. And Western Michigan got beat down. They got skunked, I think, in that game. So it was a 5-7 day. The leans certainly were a lot better. Made too much focus on the cutting room floor to try to keep it tight. We still ran out of time on that show yesterday. We had so many spots that we looked at. But George Washington won. The Duke over did not hit. Duke in neutral court environments is an under thing. I'm not going to try to fade that spot anymore here. Duke neutral courts unders are going to be probably automatics for me going forward. Duke -4 did win. How about that Iowa spot? Iowa first half over 78.5 got done. I think it was 86 at halftime. The full game over 163.5. I want to say they got to almost 180. And the Pacers now 10-1 to the over. The Indiana Pacers over 240 lean got there. The Spurs plus 10.5 got blown out. Definitely a disappointing spot there. And Edwards over 26.5 points. He had a 20-point day, so he did not get it done. We pushed on that Golden State spot. Depending on where that line settled, if you took it early, you pushed. If you took it late, you took it out. But the Clippers did get the W at plus 5.5. Vegas came through. Vegas did not come through. Nor did that long shot 11-1 spot on the Sabres goal scorer. But the Jets won. The under did not hit, and then the Florida Panthers came through and covered that 1.5. It was a 9-5 day in the lean, almost 5 units on the leans, but it's certainly time to move forward. Yesterday is just that, and all we can do is put our best foot forward. We deserve a big night tonight, and I think we have one in store. So 93 plus out there, guys. Again, please, if you haven't already, hit the like button on YouTube. Make sure the tweet that I sent out there announcing the show's live, if you could hit that for me as well, like it, retweet it. We're trying to spread the word and get the message out there that we are here doing this thing. We became the most controversial chat in the 6 p.m. window last night, so shout out to the last call. We're going to try to move forward, move on with this thing here. We got Nasty Nate's ready to go. Stop living in the past. I agree, Nasty Nate, but transparency is the most important thing here. Going to come on screen with you guys, give you a bunch of live looks. It's important that we highlight the highs and the lows. We'll celebrate the victories. We'll, commiserate a little bit in the defeats, but we can't let it kind of rule us at the end of the day. We have to keep that money management in place and play appropriately. So we got a lot to do here. We're at 100. I'm going to go through this thing. We're going to get into it because I don't want to run out of time. We've got 3 college basketball spots. I think it's 2 college football spots. I was definitely 1. I think I was on the fence with the other. We got a ton of NBA that we're going to jump into here. We're just going to roll right into this NBA because at the end of the day, for me, I'm tired of with the shout out I gave this term to from Jose yesterday. I'm tired of this trepidation in the association. I want to get in there and kick some ass and take some names, and I'm ready to do it tonight. So I see Jose Sierra says I'm on Richmond plus 4.5, Loyola Maryland minus 2.5, and Charlotte minus 6. Excited to talk about one of those spots, my guy. That's going to be a lot of fun to cover as well. Fletcher Berry says, I'm going to New York. I'm taking a cruise on the 26th. That's pretty cool. I assume you're leaving out of the New York City harbor there, and hopefully you're traveling someplace south and nice, not north. It's getting cold out there. So Deshaun G says, Ant Edwards over 2.5 3 points. Cat over 2.5 3 points. Cat's birthday tonight. So if you like to play those angles when you got somebody's birthday, you got to take advantage of it. And that certainly is the case. Serious Business member on board. Appreciate you, Serious Business. The chillest, we're getting it done. Kush God 312, Jags 87. New night. Let's fucking go. You're right. Let's go. And we're past the 8-minute mark. We're over 100 deep, so it's okay to say that. Let's fucking go. Let's get into this NBA here. We're going to get it rolling here. T's going to bring it up for us. You guys know the situation. Right-hand side is going to show the games that we're going to cover. The top, you're going to see the spots that I'm looking at, and you'll see some of the current odds out there. Now, pay attention across the bottom. I've said this before. The splits across the bottom are the things that we want to take a look at. So, I'm going to share with you guys the current numbers. But if you want to do some quick math in the head to see how have those numbers changed from just maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon, might tell you a little bit of a different story. We're going to open up the card tonight, though. We're going to open it up here with this Dallas Mavericks Washington Wizards game. And look, I got to go back to these Mavericks tonight. They're in an incredible bounce back spot. I'll talk to you about it in a second. But what we have here is the Mavericks. They opened up at -5.5. There's 81% of the bets, 55% of the cash on the Mavericks. So some sharper money might be looking to come in there on the Washington Wizards. And in fact, the line we can get now, line shop is 3.5. So 3.5's out there on the board. There's 4s and 4.5s as well. You guys know the situation here. By the time we get to this last call, it's all about them last looks and them last opportunities. As far as the over is concerned, I'm seeing 242.5's out there as well. So that number's fallen a little bit from the 244 that we had just a couple hours ago. And as far as this game's concerned, this is just a bounce back spot for me here when I'm looking at this thing. So go back to 1995. Maybe some of you weren't even born yet, but that's okay. NBA specific trend. When you go back to 1995, you're a road favorite. You took the loss. Now you're a road favorite again on the next game with no rest in play. They're 155-79 straight up. They're 125-103 on the spread line. And this number opening up at 5.5 and dropping, I think, plays to our favor. The Mavericks are 11-0 straight up. They're 10-1 against the spread, coming off a loss of at least 20 points when they were a favorite. And now they've got Luka playing out there on the court. So they do, in fact, have Luka tonight. We'll talk a little bit about that. And while we're talking about it, a little change you're going to see here. Some of those, again, we talked about trying to get this thing cleaned up for you guys as we move forward. And some of those prop spots you guys have reached out, so we're a little tough to read. So we're going to have a little prop shop at the end. We'll make sure to cover those as well. But, we're just going to kind of stay focused in on the games themselves to start, and then we'll cover a couple prop spots at the end here. So Dallas, when they're playing an opponent who's averaging 21 or less free throws, is an over team as well. Over 10-0 to the over with 17.5 points. Basically what that says is when they got a team that's not good at drawing fouls, they come out there and they end up scoring a lot of points. So I like that. Those kind of dovetail to me and kind of correlate. So I've got a spot where a team's not good at drawing fouls and getting free throws against a team in the Mavericks in a bounce back position. Again, the stats show historically over the NBA, you got a 55% edge. Plus, you got the Mavericks specifically in a 10-1 spot against the spread. I jumped in on that Dallas Mavericks. -3.5 is the current number that we're looking at out there right now. That's going to be the number I lock in for the show. That's our official play, and we are off and rolling. One play in the books and a ton. I see that coin says Kyrie ruled out. Ronnie says that Duke's game is on local TV. North Ender, I got Washington +6. Mike Middle now that Kyrie is out. Luka 30+ points, 10+ rebounds, 10+ assists. That sounds like a triple-double spot there. And the Mavericks money line +425 in the same game parlay for our guy Alec Dirks. Don Play says, why is the line Boston versus Sixers? It's now -2.5. He says he guesses Embiid is playing. I like the Knicks money line today as well. And Alec Dirks says Jaylen Brown is out. So a couple of factors there that we'll talk about as we move into this game. But the next game on the docket for us that we are going to talk about here is this New York's Knicks spot. You guys know, love to talk about the trends, love to talk about the cash flow and try to put those together and connect the dots. That's what this show's all about. Right now, I see it. I still like it. It doesn't matter to me. This line opened at +1.5. We've got 45% of the bets and 95% of the cash on the Knicks. They've moved that line. There's now +2s out there. I simplified it. I just went to the money line. I'm not going to monkey around with some of that stuff here. I've got a prop in this play that we'll talk about later as well. The total opened at 231, and we're still seeing 231s out there. There are some 229.5, so there's been a little bit of variance, about a 1.5, 2-point swing. So if you're looking at the total line shop, 72% of the bets and 89% of the cash are on this under. This is a bounce back spot again for the Knicks, and that seems to be the theme for my NBA card tonight. When the Knicks come off a game where they got less than 100 points and they're between the three, so -3 or +3 after scoring less than 100 points, it's super clean. They're 8-0 straight up. They're 8-0 against the spread, and they're covering that spread by 12.25 points. So I just locked it in. I said, you know what? Give me them Knicks. Hawks coming off a tight spot last night. Detroit in-season tournament game. But they had a lot of guys with minutes out there, and we'll talk about that as it relates to the prop that I'm going to cover. But, everybody but Clint Capella seemed to play more than 34 minutes. Sadiq Bey played 27 minutes off the bench. And they had an 8-person rotation, so I expect him to be tired. I think those legs, maybe early it's going to be a competitive game, but I expect him to tucker out here as we move on to this thing. It's in the Garden. It's a big spot. I'm sorry, it's not in the Garden. It's a big spot, though, nonetheless. And I think it's just an opportunity for us to capitalize on this Knicks money line. Again, 8-0 straight up, 8-0 against the spread, covering it by 12.5. It didn't make sense for me to lay the -110 for the +2. It's out there. If you want the comfort of having a bucket and think of this game's a bucket, then go ahead and take it. But to me, it says this game's not a bucket. This game's 6 buckets. And, if they're going to cover 6 buckets, then let's boost that ROI. Let's make the most of our investment tonight, and let's take them New York Knicks to get the job done. Let's keep it rolling. We're going to cover the Sixers game here. This is a lean for me. And, now that we're seeing some of this injury news, I expected Joel Embiid to be out of this game. But, you can't hide the facts that the Sixers are just a beast at home. They're covering the spreads like crazy. Now, they lost last night to the Pacers. I got it. But was that really a true? It was back-to-back Pacers spot with a look-ahead game coming up here against the Celtics. Look, the cash, we got 56% of the bets and 94% of the cash on the Celtics. The line's only moved, it's moved 3 points or so. It's now a -2.5. So there's even -3s out there. The number I originally had looked at was 5.5. But again, when it comes to the Embiid factor there, I was kind of thinking, how can he not play? Like, this is a big game right now. The Celtics spot, they beat them up the last time they played. And I think they're going to do it again. I think they probably get this thing outright. The 76ers, when they're at home against a team whose rebound margin on average over the season is +3, are 8-0 straight up, 8-0 against the spread, and their average cover is about 6 points out there. So that's a spread cover. If you got a +3, that means this thing should be a Sixer spot to win by +9 or so. And if you look back at the last time they played Boston, doesn't that number kind of fit right into that narrative, right? We've got the Sixers played Boston. They won by 3. They were getting 2.5 points. And that was a situation where Boston kind of came back at the end with some slot time scores. So wouldn't surprise me again. Sorry, Nasty Nate. I know it's not what you want to hear in this spot tonight, but I have to go with what I know here. And the Sixers, I think, are in that bounce back spot. They lost outright last night to the Pacers. Again, another over game. A lot of points were scored. We have a prop that we'll talk about later in this game as well. Let's keep it moving. We're trying to keep this thing rolling for you guys. Got to keep a brisk pace, as our guy Peter Loshak has taught us. It's time to move on to this next spot we're going to cover. It's this Bucks-Raptors game, and this is a lean for me. So I just want to give you guys some stats around these leans. We're going to track them because I'm throwing them out there, and I'm not just throwing darts at a board for you guys. But we got the Bucks open at -3. There's now -1.5s out there, and that makes sense. We've got a 74% of the bets and 79% of the cash on the Toronto Raptors. Now, we know there's no Giannis in the lineup. On the Toronto side, there's no OG Anunoby. There's no Gary Trent out there either. So I moved it to a lean spot for me. But worth noting that when you've got a home dog in the NBA and the total falls between 223.5 and 228.5. So this goes for the NBA kind of across the board. It's not just a Toronto specific stat. Home dog, total between 223.5 and 228.5. It's 11-2 to the over, and it's going over by 12.5 points. So it's a strong lean for me. I just don't know what's going to happen to the pace and the tempo of this game when you've got kind of some of these big guys out of the game itself. So could we see it fall at 218? That's kind of what I suspect. Even though that number shows the 11-2 to the over, Toronto likes to kind of keep a slow pace there when they're on the road. Now, we know Milwaukee at home has been a solid over team. I just don't know what's going to happen when it comes down to it. And for me, again, it was just a weird spot with the line, with the numbers, with the players being out. A lot of unpredictability or uncertainty for me. I give you guys the lean in the spot, but it's nothing I officially endorse as far as a play. let's keep it rolling. Let's move on to the next game we're going to talk about. We're looking at the Phoenix Suns, Minnesota Timberwolves spot. What a game last night that turned out to be. The Minnesota Timberwolves, depending on the side you're on, you were either happy or you weren't, but it was a good spot for me there. I ended up jumping in on those T-Wolves. I got them in some live spots as well, and they got the job done. Now, the Suns have opened at -6. This is a crazy one for me because I see 5s out there now. We have 58% of the bets and 71% of the cash on the Suns, and we've seen it drop a full point. The total opened at 230, down to 224s or 225s. We've got 79% of the bets on the over, but 51% of the cash on the under. So another interesting spot here where we're seeing the public's all over this over. They think it's going to be a point fest. I suspect the public thinks it's going to be a point fest because we're finally, for the first time this season, going to get the big three in the Phoenix Suns on the court. We're going to have Booker, Beal, and KD all playing at the same time. I do expect to see a minute count for Booker. They got to baby this guy back into the lineup. They can't just let him go full throttle. But I like this Sun spot quite a bit. At the end of the day, I think this is a Suns get back, get right spot for us here. They're 4-6, but the big boys are coming back. Traditionally, I like to kind of fade that team when they're getting their guys back, but I think it's a motivated Sun spot. They're pissed they lost to the Lakers a couple games back. Then they got beat down by OKC, and they were favorites in both of those games. So I think you got a motivated Sun spot. You got a Timberwolves spot where they're on back-to-back games. They played Golden State twice. That's got to take a ton out of you. Yeah, they covered the spread. They were getting 3.5 the first game against Golden State. They won by 6. They came back. They pushed yesterday with that 3 spot, depending on the number that you were at. So, we were originally looking at Golden State +3, but then with the Curry news out there, and then what you saw with Draymond Green auditioning for the UFC, and who was the other guy that got knocked out of that game? Was it Looney? Was it anyhow? It doesn't matter. We'll keep it moving. That was a good spot there to jump in live line. When the Golden State was up at halftime, it was like, wow, they got three of their big guys out of this game. Why would you not take advantage when you were getting a nice plus money spot for the T-Wolves? So anyhow, I think going back to this game tonight, I think it's motivated Sun spot, a potentially gassed out Timberwolves spot, and the numbers that I see out there now are 5. So we'll lock in a 5 for the Phoenix Suns. Give me that -5, the big 3 back. We got another prop we'll talk about for this game as well later on in the show, but I think it's a good spot here to jump in on these boys tonight, them Phoenix Suns, all 3 back. And you know what I think is important about all 3 of those guys being back is they're the big dogs, right? We know that for sure based on salaries, contracts, and the positions they play in the game. But they know they lost. They're not happy about that. They want to show everybody what's up and how they get it done, and they want to see it. They want to show out tonight. So I like the Suns, motivated Sun spot. We'll move on to the next game. Keep it a brisk pace. A lot to cover for you guys. And I'm double dipping this game. Sometimes the double dip historically has compromised my overall bankroll, but I think this ties back to how I expect the pace, and it's all about the game flow for me in this particular game. As we're looking at this thing here, we've got the Cavs and the Blazers, and let's take a look at where the line opened up. A lot of toggling with all these screens. I got to figure out a way to minimize some of these screens for us and keep it clean, but that's okay. We got the Cavs. They opened at -9.5. It's now -10.5 out there. 57% of the bets, but only 39% of the cash on the Cavs. That should certainly raise a red flag that all that sharp money's coming in on the Trailblazers, who stink as dogs at home. The Trailblazers at home as a dog are 22-45 against the spread, losing against the spread by almost 6 points. That's 2 to 3 buckets, depending on how those buckets happen to go in. And what I looked at with this game is I said, I see this number is climbing up. Let me just break this game down, because in that Blazers as a home dog spot as well, 27-38 to the under. So I wanted to kind of micro-size this game. I wanted to get it down to the first half. I want the Cavs to come out fast. I think they're going to be pissed off that they're losing to the Kings 2 nights ago. So I expect them to come out to a fast start. And as far as the Blazers are down some serious guns out here. Their point guards and Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, most likely not playing, right? It looks like they're out of this game based on my last look that I saw out there. And I think these two fit together. I think we see that fast starting Cavs spot. I think we know the Blazers play in these positions 2 and under. So give me the Blazers first half team total under 52.5. And I locked in that Cavs spot with the first half -5.5. Beefy card out there for me, but I just think at the end of the day, the Cavs intensity in this first half is going to dictate this game, and it's going to dictate this bet. I don't want to see what happens in the back door with a double-digit spot and having to lay a 10 with the Cavs overall. Maybe it's a live bet spot, but But my intention here is to see that defensive intensity off the hop, shut down Portland, give them enough to get the job done. Probably, first quarter, second quarter kind of commanding spot out there. They've given up a lot of threes, but the Blazers aren't good at making threes. So at the end of the day, again, it just kind of crisscrosses, and all signs point to me taking this spot with the Cavs in the first half and that Portland team total under. Blazers are a team that likes to get points in the paint. Cavaliers happen to be one of the better teams in the paint at stopping out there with their big guys. So give me that spot out there. Give me the double dipper. Cavs first half, Portland team total under. And then incidentally, if you look at the total, it opened at 225. I forgot to cover the splits on this. It opened at 225. We got 218.5s and 218s. 60% of the bets and 91% of the cash on the under, enough to move it down. And I think that just correlates. All signs to me point to this being really one of my favorite spots on the card tonight. So take that for what it's worth. I like that double dipper, and I think we're kind of in and out of that game as we move it forward. So we got one more game to cover for you guys in the association, and it's the Kings and the Lakers tonight. Interesting game that we have laid out here. I did see that LeBron's available. I don't expect him to play, and this is a 10 o'clock game. I know a lot of times I kind of poo-poo the injury report, but in this case, I think it does matter. I know Anthony Davis is available to play as well, but he's day-to-day Davis, right? So we don't know if he's going to get out there or not. Plus 2.5 is where the line opened for the Kings. It's now plus ones on both sides. So there's some, really call it a coin flip type of game. You had 81% of the bets and 84% of the cash on the King side of things. Where that correlates to me is the total opened at 232.5. We now have 235.5s and 236s. 70% of the bets and 76% of the cash on the over, pushing that number up. And you guys have heard me say before, I do think there's a strong correlation. When the dog's going to win, that game's going to go over. They're going to push that pace and push those points. So I was looking at the Kings in this spot. Ultimately, I don't know if I'm going to get there. There's a couple of kind of red flags for me on the game itself. The big one I had is going all the way back to last season, when the Sacramento Kings are a road dog on a line that's less than 4 points, they're 0-7 to the under. And it's cruising under by almost 17 points. So, we see the totals moving over. There has been some flip-flop in the number with that game. So I have to sit on that thing. We got about 3.5 more hours before that game gets going. But I would lean to that under, especially if the Kings settle in there as a dog. And I would expect the only way they settle in as a dog is if we get positive confirmation on LeBron James or Anthony Davis or both of them. And if that's the case, then I certainly like to see that under come through for us. And I think that's a lofty number at 236. So plenty of room to get underneath that thing. And that's going to do it for us in the association tonight. So big card for me in the association. You guys know, kind of was early and hesitant, but tonight we're going after it. We're going to try to get that cash and score big in the NBA. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Coin says, flip faves, Sack and Lakers. Yeah, interesting. I just think it has a lot to do with that injury news. So we'll see how that plays out. Gagnon says, I don't know about Celtics game under. Ronnie and Bergia, I might live bet this if I have a decent night. That's kind of what I was thinking too, Ronnie, is, let's see how these early spots play out. We still have NHL, we still have college football, and we have college basketball to talk about. 3 spots that I'm really fired up for in college basketball. There's Justin B. It's not wrong if that's your choice, but action stars should be tops, never bottoms. Interesting. Jesse Nunez says Boston, Philly under 223. I see that now. K. Graham sweating this Virginia Tech Campbell under 139. First half under 66.5. Oh, we're all sweating together with you, my guy. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Justin V says, I heard Will Smith be getting. I heard that too. Mark Schellenberg. What up, Mark? Good to see you out here. Trans Canada created out here. The pimp. What's up, Trans Canada? Kelly V. Let's go, Kelly V. Cleveland should feast inside. -5 on a teaser. Didn't look into it, but I side bet Mobley or Allen points or double doubles. Interesting. There's Director 97. Our guy Director 97 made it in the house. Suns 114 to 111. Take the Timberwolves +6 and buy the hook. Interesting look out there for our guy Director 97. We know he's a big player. He cashes out there when he throws them in the chat. So I don't like hearing him being on the other side of me there, but we'll see. That's why they got to play the game. Londa says Draymond, future UFC fighter. Man, that guy's just a full-time asshole. Doesn't even need to be the future. I mean, what he did last season, I don't know why they just don't get rid of him. But anyhow, different story for a different day. We'll keep going. Let's roll into the next spots that we're going to talk about here. It's the NHL. Let's lace the skates up here on last call, and let's talk a little hockey. Let's get the biscuit flying into the twine. And it's been a good NHL season, as you guys know. So we're going to kick the card off. I'm skipping over that Phillies-Flyers game. Hart being back, there's a lot of variables and unknowns for me. The strongest lean I would have in that game is the under. I didn't even get there with that thing, though, because you guys know my heart and my allegiance is to Philadelphia. I've been fading him and I've been losing. I've been playing on him and I've been losing. I just can't get right with him right now, and I think that's going to be a big question mark for me. So we got to see what Carter Hart does. Now, he was supposed to play, I believe it was Friday, or I think it was Friday, because I remember having to make that last-minute change. But what happened is he said he ate bad fish and he got food poisoning. So that'll certainly do it to you. Anybody that's, had food poisoning knows that is certainly something difficult to overcome. But the important thing was it wasn't a setback in the injury. It was a setback because of stupidity, right? You're eating fish right before you go out there and play a game and you get food poisoning. What's wrong with, a bowl of Wheaties or something like that. So anyhow, that being said, I stayed off that game entirely. And the game I did jump on here is this Edmonton Oilers to get it rocking and rolling. Contrary to opinion here with Dackert and net on the Kraken side, he's sporting a 2.23 record this season. Skinner 3-5-1. Dackert's at a 2.89 goals against average, 90.3 save percentage. Skinner on the other side, 3.26 goals against average, 87.6 save percentage. Dackert coming off a 5-1 loss, he just got lit up, and that was against, if I'm not mistaken, that was Colorado. 26 of 31, he was 83.9% saves. That's what I expect. This guy came out kind of firing early. And you remember we talked about this thing, right? The other day we talked about Chris Knobloch. Big factor. Connor McDavid, familiarity, coached him out there when he was playing out in the OHL. And now this guy's a young and up-and-comer, potential superstar in the coaching ranks. What's happened since they fired their coach? Edmonton's won 2 in a row. They're third in the NHL in shots per game. They're averaging 34 shots. In those last 2 games, they outscored their opponents 8-2. The challenge here is Skinner. He has had consecutive quality starts. And if you guys remember, we talked about consecutive quality starts being a goaltender that's over 91, I think it's 91.4% save percentage in the previous games. 49 of 51 saves over his last 2 games for Skinner. But he's at 3-5-1. Again, 3.26 goals against average, 87.6 save percentage. I wanted to get on the Oilers in this game, and let me just take a peek and see what the current line is for that thing. I think it was just a little too juicy for me given some of the uncertainty and the instability right now. Yeah, minus 190. I'm not looking to jump in on a minus 190, but what I did want to jump in on here is the total. I do think we're going to see goals. I don't care if it's one-sided and Edmonton just blast them, but, we do know Seattle can score. We've seen Dackert kind of struggling right now. Is it a bounce-back spot? He just got lit up against Colorado. Colorado, if you'll remember, and we'll talk about it in a minute, had 3 shutouts in 4 games going on out there. We got Connor McDavid with his coach. Now they've got almost a week together, maybe 5 days together. But that's important because they're starting to practice the systems. And I said this the other day, my expectation is Connor McDavid is a big voice whispering into Knobloch's ears and saying, this is how we want to play. This is how we should be playing. And I think he's the superstar. You got to feed him. You got to let him go out there and be the field general and play the game the way he thinks it should be played. At least to start, you're not going to go out there as the coach and kind of create enemies with your biggest ally. So I like this game to have goals, though. I like this Edmonton over 6.5 spot for me. The other thing that I'll look at here for you guys is there's a home favorite edge right now on Wednesdays. The overs on Wednesdays, I want to say they're 19-4 with a home favorite. Tricky because most home teams are going to be favorites in that spot. The 4 times it hasn't happened were tight games, but the over, they definitely see goals on Wednesdays. And if you look at the bigger picture and take a step back, why I think that makes sense is you got the showcase spot on Wednesdays. There's only a couple games in the NHL slate, and they like to kind of really key in and show goals. They don't want to show a bunch. This isn't soccer. They don't want to show 1-0 games or 0-0 games. They want to show the superstars. They want to show the pucks going in the net. They want to keep fast-paced and high-tempo games, and we're seeing the cash coming in on that over correlating for me. So I got the Edmonton Oilers first NHL play on the card tonight. We'll move on to the next game I want to talk to you guys about here, and it is this Anaheim Ducks Colorado Avalanche. I know, am I talking out of both sides of my mouth? Maybe. In this case here with the Ducks and the Avalanche, I think this is a great underspot. We got Dostal on the Ducks side of things. He's 5-2. He's starting back-to-back games, 3.14 goals against average, 91.1 save percentage. Against Georgiev, 8-4 for Colorado with a 309 goals against average, 89% saves. What we're seeing, though, is Georgiev starting to come back to life. And boy, do they need him to come back to life if they're going to have an opportunity to be competitive. They've kind of had a tough start to the season, some early injuries and factors like that. The Ducks are coming off a back-to-back situation. They had to use a lot of energy last night to go out there and beat Nashville. Now, we benefited. We got him at a plus 160. That was a great line out there. Great call. We'll take that and run with it. But I think that's going to play a part tonight. I think you spend a lot of energy out there. You come back and you win a game as a dog. Now you go on the road and you're traveling to Colorado. Don't forget there's altitude factors in here. It's going to be difficult for Anaheim to be able to keep the pace and tempo that Colorado wants to run in this game. Home favorites, when they've got 26 or more saves and coming off and under the previous game, have gone 18-9 straight up. But the under is 8-18 to the under. The average total goals being scored, it's 3.1 to 2.4. There's not enough margin in there for me to jump in on that Colorado money line. The Colorado puck line. We're looking at less than a goals differential in these games, but with a 6.5, and we've got an average total in these games at really 5.5 is what we're seeing out there, 3.1 to 2.4. I like that under spot. So home favorite coming off 26 or more saves and an under their previous game are showing that the goaltender's heating up at the right time, and it carries forward to the next game, going under 18 out of 26 times. Also, a couple other factors if you're considering the Colorado side of the house. When your opponent's got no rest and you got a line that's greater than minus 110, they're 661 to 291. They are covering by a goal. But again, it's 3.6 to 2.6. That's a 6.2. That's still under 6.5 over the course of that average of almost 1,000 games in that sample. Cole McCarr, after he's got 2 or more shots on goal in a win against the West, he's 47-14 with his teams out there. So another strong indication here where a single player can make the difference for the team. We know McCarr is the guy that's got to be a productive entity and a leader out there on the ice. And it shows when he's shooting pucks on net, they're coming out and they're winning those games. So 47-14 spot there again. And I just have another fade the Duck spot for you guys. When you're previously away off a win, but you got outshot and you're on a no rest situation, 36-80. Again, 3.6 to 2.2. Another solution that shows to me the under makes sense. When your opponents had greater than 15 hits the previous game and now you're a home favorite, 55-28, but 33-46 to the under. Just a lot of looks for me that showed the under. I see a lot of Colorado in there, but I'm not willing to take the bite on that thing. And then I even showed in the leans. I made a last-second change in the leans. I'm going to lean in this game. It's not going to be the Colorado Avalanche in regulation at minus 200. It's a lean to the minus 1.5 at minus 110. That would be the lean that I have for you guys. It's got to be an update from when this board changed. And that's just the way it's going to go. Yeah, Swig Bet says Colorado, 8 injured players, 3 since November 10th. I got it. I understand it. And I think that, again, supports the under. You're not going to go out there and take aggressive chances in this game. You're going to go out there and you're going to try to keep that puck in control, carry it, have a lot of possession time on the ice, keep it in the offensive zone without taking stupid chances. And that's going to lead to an under. So the under 6.5 is another official play. We got the over in Edmonton. We got the under in Colorado. I added one. So I put my guy T in the spot here by not having it ready for him. But I am adding this under in the Vancouver game as well. The Islanders-Canucks game. We have Sorokin in net for the Islanders. We have Demko in net for the Canucks. Demko, the number 1 goaltender in the NHL right now. We got Sorokin. Sorokin's had 3 or more goals in his last 4 games, and we have Vancouver that leads the league with 4.4 goals for per game. The Demko factor is enough for me as the number 1 goalie. He's 1.96 goals against average, 93.5% save percentage. The Islanders have lost 5 straight games, and they've scored 2 goals or less in 4 of those 5. They're one of the worst offenses in the NHL at 31st overall, scoring 2.36 goals for per game. I went to this under. This is an under 6.5 that I took as well. Another factor where your opponent had more than 15 hits. You're a home favorite. You're 55-28 would support a Vancouver spot. I see some guys and gals in the chat saying Vancouver. I could certainly get there. But 33-46 to the under again. What that tells me is your opponents, they're not laying down. They're playing physical, aggressive hockey. They're not leaving it wide open. Physical, aggressive hockey tends to lean to those unders, 33-46. So I added, it's to be an official ad for me, Vancouver under 6.5. And I'm just going to highlight that right now so that we can recap it at the end of the day. Oh, wrong color. Let's keep it going. Great YouTube content right now as I highlight this thing and move forward. College football. We got 20 minutes till 7 o'clock. I got a couple looks for you guys here as well. And, we've been doing well. We've been building off this college football spot. We had a 1-1 yesterday. I believe the month of November, we're now 9-4. What I'll do for you guys here as well when we start recapping is I'll try to get a point to average out or show you what the totals are by sport, because I think that's important too. We're sitting out here spotting off about what we're doing here and what we're doing there overall, but let's see what the numbers look like by sport. And in this sport, college football, we've got Maction. It's Maction when they play during the week, not when they play on the weekend. Buffalo versus Miami O, baby. Miami O, the big O. Line open to +9. We got +7.5 out there right now. 29% of the bets and 67% of the cash on the University of Buffalo. I don't understand it, but let's talk a little bit more about it. The total open at 43.5. We're seeing 37.5s out there now. 64% of the bets on the under. The variance now is 67% of the cash is on the over, because they're seeing that number being at the ceiling or at the floor. So I did do a little dissection there to see when is that money starting to come in on the over, and that sharper money's coming in on the over because we're down almost a full touchdown from where this game and opened up originally. So I think that's an important note here. But, if you guys have heard me talk about UB, that's a tough squad, man. I got Miami, Ohio in the first half -4.5. You got college football teams that are seeking revenge, that have at least 4 more wins on the season than their opponent, are 87-14 straight up. 67-30 against the spread. That's almost a 70% cover rate going all the way back to 2016. So I know the players aren't the same, but that doesn't matter to me because we're dissecting the entirety of college football. And when teams are in this spot, when you got a stronger team than their opponent seeking revenge against them, they put boots to ass. And we're going to see that, I expect, here tonight in the first half with Miami O. I took the first half -4.5. Ultimately, could I see Buffalo laying around and hanging in this game at the end? Maybe. I mean, we kind of saw that yesterday with the MAC, right? We saw Toledo was down and they were able to come back at the end. Miami O last week, they won 19-0. They covered 17 points. We were on that side of things, but it was 19-0. So it wasn't a huge spot for them there. UB, on the other hand, has only one real big win this season. They've been big dogs because they stink. Kent State's the only team that they were out there to beat in the last, 5-6 games. On the other side of things, you got Miami, Ohio's 5-0 record as a favorite, and their defense is strong. You see that with a 19-0 game against the Zips last week. I think it might be a little too many points, that over the touchdown for Buffalo to cover. And I know it's coming up quickly here, so it might be a live betting spot full game. But ultimately, the Bulls are, kind of run by Snyder there as their quarterback, and he's a turnover machine. So the concern for me on the under, and I was going to jump in on this thing, but it's dropped a touchdown. I feel like it's too late for me there. I think UB could throw 3 or 4 interceptions in this first half, or fumble it and throw interceptions and then compromise that total. I like the Miami, Ohio first half -4.5. We'll take that in there as an official play. And then I double dipped some leans for you guys on college football in this next game with Central Michigan and Ohio. The line opened up Central Michigan +12.5. We're down to +10.5. 29% of the bets and 54% of the cash on Central Michigan. And we're seeing the number moving. So sharper bettors are taking that Central Michigan play right now. We've seen it move 2 full points from the original open. The total on the other side is kind of interesting. We saw it open at 47. We're seeing it as high as 49.5 out there right now. 33% of the bets, but 52% of the cash on the over in the Central Michigan Ohio game. And I guess that correlates, right? If you think about it, right? We talk about the dogs winning, pushing the pace and pushing the games over, and we're seeing the total move. Now, the majority of the public is saying this game's going to go under, but that bigger cash suggests that this is going to be an over spot. I originally had a lockdown there for Central Michigan first half under 24.5, and then I was going to lean to the full game under 48.5. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to give you guys these 2 leans. I'm not confident enough in this spot. Seeing that Central Michigan spot kind of concerns me. I don't know who comes out and starts putting it down early, but for what it's worth in consideration, MAC Conference home favorites of 10.5 or more, coming off a double-digit win where they allowed 175 or more passing yards, are 14-0 straight up, 14-0 against the spread. MAC Conference home favorites -10.5 or more, off a double-digit win when they allowed their opponent to pass for over 175 yards, 14-0 straight up, 14-0 against the spread. That tells me, if I dissect that personally, that they're not happy with what they did against the Air Assault the previous game, and they're going to try to bottle that up, which is going to force the other team to have to run. They're keying in on the pass. They're going to have to run, And the fact that they're out there getting the job done at 14-0 against the spread means that they're running successfully and being able to command the game. That's what kind of led me to that Ohio side of things, but there's just too many uncertainties for me to give you the confidence in a specific play. So we'll move on. I want to make sure we get these last three in for you guys because I'm excited about this college basketball slate tonight. I feel really good about the three that we have out there. Yeah, North Ender says it's up to 49.5 now. I just don't get it, North Ender. I don't get it. I wouldn't be surprised with action here as we move through the month of November that we see a high-scoring game, but I couldn't get there. Ronnie I says, very confident with the chips. They might win. History says so. Okay. I mean, I couldn't see that the other way here. Robert Dixon says, Mike, did you have anything on the Bulls game? Yeah, I ended up going with the first half on the Miami, Ohio spot there. So first half minus 4.5. Ronnie says Ben Roethlisberger school. That's his claim to fame. All right. I mean, who knew Ben Roethlisberger was going to turn out to be a Hall of Famer out there, but it's okay. Flea Mathis says go Avs. Ronnie happy with Rick Tocchet and Rutherford. There's our guy, Gerardo Hernandez. He likes the Avs minus 1.5. He likes the team total over 3.5 as well. Not bad looks. I can certainly get down with that. I can support, Colorado going out there, putting 4 goals in the net. And if it's 4-2, then we both win, my guy. So let's go. Let's see that happen out there. EQ says, give me the Avs puck line too. I know some of you guys I missed out there talking about the hockey trends and some of your plays out there. But yeah, I do have the Bulls. Unless you're asking about the Chicago Bulls, then of course that's a different spot for me. But I would not be playing on the Chicago Bulls. That being said, let's transition. We got about 13 minutes to get you guys to the window on those college basketball spots here. And I'm opening the college basketball card up tonight. I'm looking at this Duquesne game. That's right, Duquesne, D-U-CANE, if you're looking to appropriately announce or enunciate this school. Duquesne. Duquesne's known for 2 things. Maybe you guys aren't aware, but I am. They're kind of tucked in outside of Pittsburgh there. They're known for 2 things. Nurses. It's a big school for nursing, and they play college basketball, and they play it pretty well. When you look at these totals and you look at this team out there, let's get into the splits here. Let me find it. A shitload of college basketball. There it is. Up. There it is. All right. So the line opened at minus 4.5, and it's kind of sitting around 4.5. I did see it did move up to 6.5 before, pre-show here. 55% of the bets on Princeton, but 64% of the cash on Duquesne. When you look at Duquesne here, let's take a look at this first half number because I want to make sure I give you guys the best spot out there. Okay, still 2.5s. Here's the thing. When I look at Princeton being an Ivy League school, Princeton, a big spot, in the previous years, they've had a couple of good seasons. I think a lot of people are overvaluing Princeton, though. If you look at how this game matches up in the X's and O's, Princeton depends a lot on a player named Caden Prince and Xavier Lee. Those are their high-scoring guys, but as high-scoring as they are, they still rank 266th nationally in scoring. They're averaging 71.5 points a game, and they rank 233rd in rebounds at 32.5 rebounds. At the end of the day, I don't think that's a good formula. When you look at the other side of things with Duquesne ranks 146th nationally in points scored. They're scoring 84.7 points per game over the first 3 games of this season. They also rank 160th nationally in rebounds. So you got a team that's really just outranking these guys, and they're not just sort of outranking them. They're outranking them by almost 100 schools. That's a huge differentiator. Now, can it open up at the end? Sure. I think there's opportunity for Princeton in the back door. I know a lot of folks that I trust and believe in are all over this Princeton side of things, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I just think Duquesne starts out this thing early. That minus 2.5, winning by over a bucket in this first half, to me, makes a ton of sense. Princeton does shoot higher 3-point percentages and free throws. But I think that stuff factors in at the end of the game. I think you got a stronger team that field goal shooting wise, just stronger all around. I think they open up at home with the advantage, and I think that could shrink down as we move forward to the second half of the game. But maybe a live betting spot if you do want to jump in on that Princeton side of things. For me, though, I'm on the Duquesne. I'm on the Dukies in the first half, and we'll move on to this next game. I expect there'll be some conversation around that one, but we'll move on. We'll cover this next game. Georgetown and Rutgers, a big spot for me on this card tonight. This is my second favorite college basketball game, though, to the one we're going to cover next. As we look at this number, let me pull it up. Let me find the numbers on the screen. There they are. Georgetown and Rutgers. Oh, shit, I didn't click the pardon me, guys. Let me get this thing right here. I got to get the splits for the totals here. I went with the under in this game. I like this under quite a bit. I like this under quite a bit because of the way these two teams play. At the end of the day, We see the line opened up. Where is it? The line opened up at 9.5, and now it's 10.5. 56% of the bets and 54% of the cash on Georgetown, liking them Hoyas. But the total opened at 136.5, 64% of the bets and 84% of the cash. See it the way I do with this under. We've got 135.5s out there right now. Look, this is a styles make fights type of game here, and both these teams run slow paces. Rutgers, they're just not a good 3-point shooting team either. And when I looked at Georgetown, Georgetown's got the big move with Ed Cooley. Ed Cooley, he's a guy that likes to play a slow pace. He likes to control the clock. He likes to maximize the drives out there and take as much time off the clock as he can by each of those things. Well, so does Rutgers. Every one of Rutgers' games has gone under to start this season. Rutgers is a top 40 team in their defensive efficiency. And then when I looked at Georgetown, look, kind of expected. It was the first game for Ed Cooley. They only put up 67 points against Holy Cross. They were 16.5-point favorite against Holy Cross. They put up 67 points. That made me go, holy shit. I got a Rutgers team that I don't think can find a way to get the points on the board either. And I'm jumping in on this under. So 135.5, second favorite college basketball play on the card. You know what? It might be my second favorite game on the card now that I talk about it out loud again. But I had to lock in 7 for the 7 p.m. spots here because of the show. I know that one starts at 8:30. But the last spot I want to talk to you guys about tonight, this is my favorite spot on the card here. I'm psyched up. I'm jacked up for this game. I may have gone over a unit on this one. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But I'm not suggesting anybody else does. Just because I get crazy and stupid about some things doesn't mean I endorse it for the rest of the crew here. I want you guys to manage the bankroll, but we got a team in Charlotte and Utah Valley. And this is just a mismatch in my opinion. Charlotte opens up at -4, 46% of the bets, 60% of the cash on Charlotte. The total opened at 133.5. We're seeing 140s out there. We have 68% of the bets and 84% of the cash on the over. I know we're moving over. Does that suggest the dog? But let me tell you why I don't think it suggests the dog here. First of all, Charlotte is rebounding. They had a game last night or last game out against Liberty. What happened against Liberty? They lost. It was a bad loss for them, right? They were getting 4.5 points, but they lost by 12. They were at Liberty, so a little discount for being, on the road itself, but they're certainly in a rebound revenge type of situation here. They want to get their season back on the right foot. On the other side of things, Utah Valley, big road trip across the country for Utah Valley. They won outright against, I believe it was Sam Houston State, but I'm going to kind of discount that from a divisional perspective. Now, when you look at Utah Valley, they're replacing the whole show. All 5 of their starters gone. Their coach, Mark Madsen, gone. It's a full rebuild, restock for them. And what you know about the way Utah Valley likes to play is they like to score points from the paint. They're an inside scoring team. How does Charlotte match up against that? Charlotte's got 4 bigs on the team that are 6'10" or bigger. They got a bunch of trees out there that are blocking up that paint. And all 4 of those guys are transferred in power conference teams that they transferred in from between last year and the year prior. So they've got confidence, I think, with the bigs to be able to shut this game down. I think that's why we've seen the line move to that -6. That's what I locked in for this spot here. That is my favorite spot on the card. There still are 6s out there, albeit only a couple of them. So DK is one of them. Bet Rivers another. If you guys are going to jump in on that thing, I suggest getting in on it nice and early for us here. 143 plus out there. Appreciate all you guys and gals coming in to listen to us break down last call. My guy T back there holding it down for us. Kelly V says under by Mike M and WT. Jimmy Adams, trust both guys. Johnny K says Rutgers game goes over. JW says Kelly the will do. Butts beat Kelly V. Kelly V likes the UCLA -33. LIU terrible. It's funny. I saw something that said the sheer principle of that game. How can UCLA not win? Sharks don't have any hands. So I kind of laughed at that when I saw that. But anyhow, North Ender, appreciate all you guys being out there, getting it done for us. Let me give you guys a quick recap on the card here. We'll get it done. We'll get you guys out the gate in time to place these bets. We got this first game. We opened up Dallas -3.5. Oh, you know what? The other thing I forgot was, you're right. Thank you, T. Thank you. Shit, can't believe it. We moved it to the end of the show, and I already out of rhythm. First and foremost here, on this Dallas game, I went with Luka Doncic, over 37.5 points and assists. It was -105. I see it at 40.5 out there right now. I still like it. Luka, I saw the things out there by some of our guys. Shout out to LJ from H-Town. The Luka factor, when he's gone under 20 Points, rebounds, and assists the previous game. He nails that. PRA, it's 48. I like the 40.5, though, on the points and assists out there. The second spot that I looked at was Julius Randle, over 9.5 rebounds. That's a plus money spot. What I like most about that is I already talked to you guys about the tired capacity, the nature of the Atlanta team and how tired those legs are going to be. And you got Randall, who averages 10.3 rebounds a game. He's 13th overall in the NBA from a rebound perspective. He's gone over this number 7 of 10 times. He's averaging 8 defensive rebounds, and I think he feasts on a tired situation out there. And the last guy for the prop spots tonight is Drew Holiday, over 11.5 rebounds and assists. Another plus money spot at plus 105. Averages a ton of minutes. I expect him to get the average tonight. He's averaging about 34 minutes a game out there. Celtics, Sixers, big spot. We already heard about some of the guys that are going to be sitting on that Celtics side of things. And he's averaging. This is his average. So you got a spot to take a guy at plus money. He's averaging 5 assists and 7 rebounds. That's a 12. We got 11.5 as the number at plus 105. You got an opportunity to take a guy under his season average. He just needs to get his average for us to get paid at plus money. I locked that one down. So I appreciate you jumping in there and getting that done for us. Official plays tonight. I got the Dallas Mavericks minus 3.5. Luka over 40.5 points and assists are the numbers now. The New York Knicks money line. The Julius Randle over 9.5 rebounds. Of course, we're slowing down here as we bring it to a grind here. We got Drew Holiday over 11.5 rebounds as assists. That's the only official play in that Sixers game for me. I like that Suns minus 5. I double dipped the Cavs first half minus 5.5. The Portland first half team total under 52.5. Couple plays on the ice for you guys here. Edmonton over 6.5. Colorado under 6.5. And I took that Vancouver under 6.5 as well. Didn't touch that Flyers game. I got Miami O, the first half, Miami O minus 4.5. That game's about to start here in about 10 minutes. And then on the hardwood in college basketball, Duquesne, known for nurses in basketball, I got him in the first half minus 2.5. I took Georgetown under 135.5 and Charlotte, my favorite look on the card, at minus 6 tonight. That's going to bring us to a close. I appreciate everybody being out here watching. Last call. We're getting it done. We're trying to cook these books and trying to give you guys, plays to get to the window with. All that last minute information. Appreciate everybody dropping in here. Make sure if you haven't done so already, please like the YouTube video for me. It just takes a second to hit thumbs up. Helps me out a ton. We're going to try to promote this thing and continue to grow and get more names and faces in here, getting them to share plays that they like as well. If you guys haven't done so already, go and become a member at Pub Sports Radio. Costs $4.99 a month. Helps us a ton develop new programming. Make sure that we can bring you guys new innovative ideas and things out there that can help come up with different ways to get to the window. Maybe prop shows, maybe NBA shows, maybe college basketball shows. Maybe they all roll into shows like this. But we're trying to give you guys more fun things out there to watch and get to the window with. So we appreciate everybody showing up tonight. November 15th, we're going to put a bow on this thing. We got it done in under the hour. Shout out to everybody out there, guys. Make sure you bet responsibly and good luck with your tickets. We be pumping!